Hey, everybody, welcome to the Shed Show. Hope you guys are having a good week or had a good week. This is the way to end it. I have my friend Ian Sherman here with me again. Ian, thank you so much for joining me again, brother.
Oh man, thank you for inviting me back. I thought I embarrassed myself the first time.
No, man, it
Clearly, I
was.
came back for a second plate.
Hey, and this time we got the video working a little better, so we're,
Hey
we're
man,
good.
hey
We're good.
technology. Let me tell you.
Hey, before we get started, I just wanted to say real quick, if you follow me on social media, then you know that I try to be a good ally and advocate for the transgender community. And today is Transgender Visibility Day. So I just wanted to send all of our trans friends, brothers, sisters, we just wanted to send you all some love, let you know that we see you, we're thinking about you. And yeah, I
We
hope you all
right
have a
there
good
with
day.
you, arm
Yep.
locked in. We right there with you.
Yep. Amen. So
100%.
with with that said, let's get into the meat of it, which is
Man,
Trump finally being indicted.
brother, man, I'm gonna tell you one thing. I live in New York. I don't want to be here on Tuesday. I don't want to deal with this shit on Tuesday. And
It,
not even really more so like, yes, we got this motherfucker. Finally, we're starting to actually hold him to law like this. He's not above it.
yeah,
But I'm just saying to you, like the sheer circus that I understand that is who he is coming to town. And
yep,
that's the part nobody in New York wants. I'm
yeah.
telling you right now. Not even interested. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes down. But yeah, to the DA, the Soros-backed DA. Let me give a shout out to Soros because we got to give Soros some credit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? When he's doing his mastermind work.
I'm still waiting for my
Um,
Venmo, but
Yo, man, Soros definitely owes me $5. So if I can get that with a couple zeros behind it, we can make this work. But no, I mean, it's one of those things. What are you seeing on your end?
I mean, of course, most people that follow me and interact with me, they're all giddy and excited as I, we should be at this point. Um, I think the interesting thing for me, I mean, and not that it wasn't expected, but
Yeah,
has been the response from the right wing GOP, Republicans.
political
Um,
hit. He's a political
yeah, calling it a
prisoner.
political hit, but when it's Hillary Clinton, when it's show me Obama's birth certificate, when it's lock her up, when it's Hunter Biden's laptop, that's okay. That's not political persecution at all. But when you go after somebody who, like, we know did it, like, this is like some OJ shit. We know he did it.
Yo, you leave OJ
Everybody knows
alone,
he
all
did
right?
it.
Leave OJ alone.
Well,
Did it to
okay,
himself.
okay. He
but
does,
see,
that's
but
not
this is
necessarily. He doesn't always keep to
this
himself these
this
days.
is this is what I was gonna say. It's OJ did it, but then it's OJ got caught stealing his shit. And it's one of those things where you're like, okay, OJ got off on all this shit, but then he got
Like
stealing his shit.
karma still came back and got his ass.
It's like, bro, you should have just faded away, right off into the sunset.
Let him have that memorabilia.
So you really wonder if Trump would have just shut the fuck up and just rode off into the sunset, would he be done and no one talk about it? Or because if you remember,
Bro.
Briggs said months ago, he was like, we're going to let this go. We're not going to look into anything. And everybody here who's like, we just got you into office. We voted for you because we wanted you to hold anybody, their feet to the flame.
Yep.
And the thing is that's coming from the Republican Party is, if you remember, when they were talking about him being impeached and everything from January 6th, because this is just the beginning.
Mm,
This is there's no stopping out. Because
yeah.
to me, I feel like this was the floodgates. Nobody wanted to be the first to indict a president. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
No
I
one,
think
everybody's kind of on edge. Like, is it me or you want to take it? You feel it. You feel
yep.
that pressure. And now that this is open, it's like, well, it's open. So who's next? We got Georgia. We got some of this fraud shit over here. I'm sure there's a $2 hoe over there. Like, it's something. Everything's opening up. And
yeah.
don't even forget about the other woman that was there, Daniels.
Yeah.
Is it
No.
Daniels? Stormy Daniels is one, but who's the other one? McDougal?
Oh no.
Her name.
Are you talking
She
about the one that's suing him for
she was the catch and kill that they brought in the Inquisitor. What's the
Inquirer?
Inquirer? So she got her story got catch and kill. They picked her up, paid her, said they were going to put it out in the magazine, and then they just squashed it. So they
Mm,
brought him into it for the they questioned him. They got all the information they needed, and then they brought back Michael Cohen. He talked, and then they're like, "Yeah, we're indicting," and that was it.
Well, and it looked like they might have flipped his CFO the other night.
Oh,
It was like
Weisenberg,
I think I don't know if that was
the
him,
one
but
that's serving the one that's serving time.
I thought he was out.
No,
That
he's serving.
I should look it up. Um, he apparently they flipped his CFO and he showed up and testified, and that was one of the things that pushed it
Ooh.
over.
Bro, there's some things that are going to come out. What I love right now is a lot of my conservative friends that I talk to, and by that I mean, just get the heart rate really pumping, get that blood pressure going on both sides. I will say on both sides, it's a good term to use on that one. I definitely upset them, and I'll tell you a story about that later on. But they're all losing their shit. And it's like, look, we don't even know what's happening yet. They haven't even released any information. It's
No,
still closed up. We'll find out on Tuesday, possibly, but like I said, it's gonna be a shit show, just a fucking shit show here in New York.
it will be,
So,
and that's a good point too. You know, a lot of us are you know, even I said there's 34 indictments because that was what supposedly the source said. But like you said, we don't know until they open it up, right?
right.
So I'm just happy that the indictments are coming, whether it's 25 or 45. I don't really care if it's up in the 20s and 30s. Like the more to me, and this could be wrong because I'm no, you know, law aficionado or anything, but um, to me, it just seems like the more indictments that he gets,
Yeah,
that's less chance that he has of getting away from them. Does that make sense?
that does. That does. I just don't want it to feel like they're just trying to throw anything on the wall and see what sticks. I want it to be
Yeah.
very clear, precise, really just cutting through all the bullshit because it's the song and dance with these guys. And
Yep.
you already know what his playbook's about to be. It's prolong, delay, prolong, call
Blame.
out sick, whatever the case else is, and then here we are. He's president again, and we're like, well, what the fuck? We can't even indict a president. So it's like, let's get this real tight nipped. Just go for the jugular. What are the
Yes.
facts? Get to that, and then be done with it.
Yep.
But I will say, with this, and I even tell all the conservatives, the biggest difference between Republicans or I should say liberals and conservatives is that if Hunter Biden is guilty, lock his ass up too. No one is diehard about this shit. Like, look,
No.
we just want to make sure the have and have nots are finally getting that closed up. Because right now we're seeing that there's dynasties and we don't need that. What we need is straight up just law and order. If you're going to do this to somebody for literally stealing a sandwich, then you need to do this for somebody who's doing this crime up here. So
Yep.
that's what we want to see. And that's the biggest thing. But they always say, "Well, no, you're all about Hunter Biden." I don't care about Hunter. He's not Jared Kushner. He's not over here working in the government without clearance. Like, let's be serious right now. Just because he's smoking crack with uh, Kim Jong Un's nephew, don't mean nothing to me. I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
There's an element there where yes, we should care, but at the same time, it's like if he's guilty, get him, lock this down.
And I'll even go a step further and say the same thing for Biden and Democrats.
Right.
Look, if I like the saying, if you're a criminal, I don't want you in my government.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Like we know that there's
Santos is running around.
Yeah, but we know there's a game to play, right?
Right.
We know that there's a game to play if you want to be in the arena. But at the end of the day, there's a line, and there are certain people that have crossed it. And if we don't hold those people accountable, then this is all for nothing.
Right.
I mean, that's really what it boils down to. So it really does bother me that they're calling it a political attack, especially after all the political attacks they've done on numerous people.
It's
but
protection. That's all it is.
It is. You said something, though. I want to point out that had the Senate actually convicted him when the House impeached him twice,
right,
we wouldn't have to worry about him running right now.
Well, that's what they said, though. They said that no one has ever indicted a president. So wait until he gets out of presidency, and then you can convict him of anything if there is a crime. Now that we're at that point, look at all their bullshit rhetoric that's coming out and all their talking points. And it's just like, well, wait a minute. But back then you said, and it's their game. It's literally their game. Yep. Pushing the field goal back more and more and more when it comes to them. But let's see what kind of political hits they try to rack up. I mean, I'm loving Jim Jordan's committees because that shit just keeps blowing up in his face. You know what I mean? It's just like it's ridiculous.
What did he do today? He let the witnesses go without even letting them
He
be
literally
questioned?
had the witness say their two piece, their sense, which is literally just talking points and bullshit, and then he excused them without any questioning at all, which does not happen. It's not cross-examining this witness to ask them to see if there's any holes in their story.
Yeah.
It's just you say your piece and then you just run right out. And he was like, "Thank you so much for your time. Goodbye." And you're like, "Okay, okay, all right." You know, so look, it's all there. We can all see it. You can't hide from it anymore.
I can. I don't think so. And that's a good way to put it. I don't think that we can hide from this anymore.
No.
And I've been posting this a lot lately. It's pick a side time. You know, whether you agree with the Democrats or not, you know, because of the way our system is, you have to pick a side.
Yeah.
And there's one side that is literally trying to take people's rights away and allowing domestic terrorists to run our government.
Right.
And there's one side who, while may not be perfect, they're trying to battle these people while also trying to lower inflation, lower fuel prices, you know, get inflation under control. So it's like they're multitasking their ass off.
Right.
And so we need to pay attention to that when it's time to vote. Because go ahead.
This is to add to what you're saying.
Yeah, please.
I want to really lock it down where it's not even that it's because you're making it sound almost like we're about to have a civil war. And this is the part where I really have to bring it in. We are all on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
We have different ways of trying to get there. But we have to understand that at the same time, it's not you versus me. We don't have the sports mentality. We need to remove the sports, remove the money from this because we are crabs in a barrel. You have one crab, they're trying to get out. You have two crabs, they're still trying to get out, but there's a little bit of fighting. You have three crabs, that's it. They're fighting each other to get out. The moment once it almost gets above to get out, the other one pulls it right back down. And that's us right now as a society. And the thing that I really want to hit home is that we are going up against China. Look at what China and Russia are doing. And they are literally making allegiances across the entire globe. They're setting up shop. They're little bodegas all across Africa, China and Russia, both setting up for cobalt. China's moving to all EV, and they're putting the pressure on us for our big three to meet them where they're at. So that means that we now have to adjust our footing, yet we're fighting ourselves on clean coal. And it's like, stop talking. Like, really, adults are in the room. Stop talking.
Yeah.
And this is where we're watching DeSantis drop the fucking ball on how he's trying to backpedal now what he was talking about with Ukraine. Like, he shows his ignorance blatantly. And then, of course, he doesn't apologize and he moves forward. It's like, you're not that tough, bro. Sit down. No. It's been a long time since you were in the Navy. Sit down. Sit down. And you probably were the dude pushing paper. So don't talk.
I'd love to know what his job was.
Please.
Not that, but I hate when people do that to me, but I really would love to know what his job was.
But it's interesting to me because it's like, look at what we're about to go up against. And the fact that, we have our ties to Taiwan. We can get into the globalization of everything, but our real competition right now is to meet our competitors, which is China and Russia, where they're at. And there's a part where we need to stop our little civil war that we do have. It's a Cold War, but it's still, we have some strong ideologies really clashing right now on where this country is going. And a lot of it comes down to, I know one of our topics, which is gun control. And it's just like, when we jump into that, there's a lot of things there that are bubbling up.
Yeah.
And we have a lot to figure out. But
yeah, that's a good way to put it. But I think that's a good transition into talking about Disney and their freaking epic move. I mean,
fuck you, DeSantis. It's over. It's over. It's over. Have you ever seen Mickey Mouse rope-a-dope somebody?
Oh, dude, right? I'm telling you, I can't believe you just did the Mickey voice.
Oh boy, Pluto. Fuck DeSantis. Got him.
Did you work on that? Please tell me you worked on that.
Bro, I go to sleep with that voice. My wife hates me. Oh boy. Hates me. Like when I tell you that Mickey,
we were talking about kinks earlier.
I got the big white gloves. You know what I'm saying? The little red trousers. That's what we're doing.
Stop it.
That's what we're doing. We're doing big things.
Shit. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start with. Oh, go ahead. Did you have something to say first?
No. Let's just start with the whole put it all on the plate. What
So
are we
I'm gonna
looking at here?
show one of the videos that you had texted me just because I think it encompasses really quickly kind of what happened,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna let you kind of take it a little bit. So here's the video.
They did. Members of the Central Florida Tourism Oversight Board say the former board appointed by Disney signed a series of documents with the company while lawmakers were working on dissolving the district. They say those documents or those agreements prevent this new board from making changes without Disney's approval.
Ooh. Yo. Mickey Mouse looked DeSantis straight in the face and said, "We'll give you the roads to pave. You can look at the firemen. And you know what? If you want to look at some lights on the street, you can take care of that too. Matter of fact, take care of the garbage. Grown folks is over here making things happen. You can have that stuff. You can take that off our plate." The committee is so... I actually had to see the butthurt report that they had to fill out because they were so upset to put out their grievances of, how could you do us like that, Disney? How could you do that to us? Because they showed up thinking they were about to have a meeting. And then they saw this document in front of them and they literally were like, wait a minute. They stripped all of our power away except for those three things I just talked about.
That's ruthless.
Disney, well, you don't get into creating one of the biggest tourist attractions in the middle of a swamp by being ridiculous. The way that Disney acquired that land in the first place was masterfully done. It was a whole bunch of small companies, organizations, all under the master umbrella of picking up left and right, and no one knew what was happening.
Yeah.
You know, Florida man bought this, Florida man bought that. They didn't realize it was one Florida man who was doing everything. Sauron, the one to rule them all. And when he put everything together, it was already too late. He's been 10 steps ahead of Florida. My man's in the grave and still 10 steps ahead of Florida.
Telling you, dude.
And Bob Iger is a beast. I'm sorry. He came back in because he comes off so just small and smiling, and
he does.
You don't see the killer that he is. He, without batting an eye, okay, you didn't hear anything from him. You didn't see him frown. You didn't see nothing. He just said, okay, this is what, the governor wants to do. All right. Switch. That was done. The day before, DeSantis, with his little podium and his grandstanding and on his soapbox about where woke goes to die, aka I hate black people and history, and here we go. And I will go that far to say it.
Don't forget transgender people and gay people.
He hates anything that's diverse. He hates, and the thing
Cubans.
Here's the thing. No, well, that's an interesting story too because they voted in high numbers for him.
Really?
Self-hate is a motherfucker. So what I'm going to say to you is that DeSantis, I don't even know how much of this he believes. He just knows his base, and he wants to be Trump so bad, minus all the other bullshit. But yet he doesn't have that fight in him. That's the thing that I find so interesting. Trump is on the defense, but also on the offense, where he literally can give and go. Trump is a dogfighter. He will take it there, as we all know.
Well, that's all he knows how to do.
I don't think DeSantis has ever been punched in his mouth before. And Mike Tyson will tell you, everybody thinks they know how to fight until they get hit.
Until they get punched in the face.
And that's the biggest thing where DeSantis, as a political level, I'm not talking about any violence.
No, yeah, no, I know.
For this right here, DeSantis has never been in an actual fight verbally on the stage, in a debate, where he's going up against somebody who will knock his ass out. And Trump, for this, has already been like, how you think you're going to go against me, little man, when you can't even go off on Disney? Like, how you were sitting there grandstanding and you didn't realize that they were making these moves in public.
Yeah.
This was an open door meeting that they had set up on their agenda, and nobody showed up from DeSantis' team. Or DeSantis knew this would happen. I'm going to do devil's advocate. And he literally is just trying to show face for his people, like, look what I did. And it's like, wait a minute. Because he knew that this was going to be bad for his constituents.
Yep. Hey, I actually got that video loaded up. So here's the little butthurt clip.
Find out about it late at night on a Friday night.
I cannot tell you the level of my disappointment in Disney. I thought so much better of them. This essentially makes Disney the government. This board loses, for practical purposes, the majority of its ability to do anything beyond maintain the roads and maintain basic infrastructure.
Given the circumstances, the new board voted to hire legal counsel. In a statement to News 6, Walt Disney World said all agreements signed between Disney and the district were appropriate and were discussed and approved in open, noticed public forums in compliance with Florida's government in the Sunshine Law.
Yo, man, massively done. I'm just a golf clap. We're so disappointed in Disney. No, you're so disappointed your job is worthless.
Yeah, no, you're disappointed that you got destroyed publicly.
And the disappointment, look in the mirror because you literally didn't do your job to show up for a meeting that was on the books out there for anybody to go to. You could have gone, I could have gone, sat there and watched them literally say, we are removing our power and giving it to Disney to handle X, Y, and Z. This board will only take care of whatever. And then the next day, DeSantis on his little grandstanding, look what I accomplished, chest puffed out, deflated. My man's a blowfish.
Yeah.
He seriously is not bringing anything but his own his talking points that are well prepared for him. He can't even think on his own 2 feet.
And you know what the bad thing is, man? I went to see my friend in Utah, and some of the people that he hangs around, like they were singing this dude's praises, and I'm just looking at him like, do you pay attention to what he's doing?
No, that's what they love.
Oh, they do. They love it. They fucking love it.
It's catnip for them. It's hilarious to watch all these men who, to me, they come off as like, I'm a man's man. I'm like, are you? Because you're showing belly right now. Like you really are. Like you're playing with your catnip and you're showing belly, and this is you. Like you're really, you think that this makes a man, and I'm like, your ideas are so outdated.
Yeah.
And this machismo shit is nothing. And that's where a lot of actually Latin voters are moving to. They love that machismo. They love that tough guy shit. And they want to see themselves in it. They bathe in that.
There's a lot of truth to that, yeah.
And that's what's so interesting about looking at how a party can become a cult. And also the team mentality. I want to fit in. I want to be this. I want to be that. I saw, we'll get a couple of those sprinkled out here, red hats. I'm going with this. And I was walking a dog in Central Park, and it's a beautiful morning. And literally, it's, if you know New York, people are dark. We just wear dark colors. We mad at the motherfucker. We just wear dark, and that's what we just keep it moving. And out of all this dark that you just kind of see sprinkled everywhere, you see this one red hat walking towards me, and I go, no, it's not. No, it's not. And I get closer, I could see the white lettering. Make America blah again, right? And I'm sitting there, and I just look at this old man, probably 65, 70, walking this little dog, hefty, overweight, older man, clearly has lived. And I'm just laughing because I'm like, okay. Like, you already know where this is going. I mean, I have no... there's no reason to engage or anything. There's nothing to win from this. It is like the time has passed. The hat is outdated. You're clearly 1 foot in the grave. No one's worried about you. Like, Gen Z already voted outvoted you in your class.
Oh.
So I'm not worried about you. I'm not worried about you at all. I just laughed to see a moment pass. Literally, as I walked by him, I'm like, as fast as I'm passing you, this too shall pass. You, Trump, your bullshit, it's out the door. It's all out the door. Yes, I'm sure you will, because we're on the Upper East Side, I'm sure you're part of the fundraising crew that wants to keep certain ideology in power. But, bro, this too shall pass.
I like what you said, because I just want to give a quick shout out to Gen Z. You guys are fucking killing it. And
I want to be you when I grow up.
I'm telling you, man. I was saying, even in the description of the show, you and I have known each other for about 25 years. We did not have to engage politically like this when we were 16, 17. At least I don't remember.
I'm about to say, speak for yourself. My dad was a Black
Really?
Panther. Yeah.
Well, no. I'm talking about us in school. I'm talking about us at Kimball.
You see
Like,
this complexion? It's called passing.
right.
The
But
shit I
what?
heard and the education I had to give people on
Well,
Black culture, not saying that it's a monolith and that I speak for all Black culture, but the shit that I heard and the people that would be so loose tongue around me,
oh yeah.
I would always address things.
I feel like that's, yeah. I mean, I agree. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I know we kind of talked about that. I think on the last show. There's a lot of things you can't say today, because we know better now. And you're one of the reasons that we know better, because you would.
I'm not taking that credit. I'm that loud
No,
mouth. That
fuck that. People. Let me rephrase. People like you who are willing to walk into a group of us ignorant people and say what you just said, or how you just addressed me, or whatever the hell it is, that isn't right.
It's
And
a
let me
teachable
tell you,
moment. It's a teachable moment.
teachable moment.
Yeah.
And there are people out there that it's one of two ways: either you're going to accept that constructive criticism,
Right.
or you aren't.
You're gonna double
And
down on your ignorance.
you're going to
Absolutely.
double down on it. And that's why I say people like you are a reason that we know now that what we were doing and saying back then is not okay.
Right.
And we should be, at least I hope we are pushing that forward, and just keep reminding people. I know I do. I'm the white guy that will correct the other white people. And
Well, it's
that's
just about being in your inner circles, and there's places that you have access to that some don't, or not fortunate to. And
I
it's
tell
like,
people this when I'm bald headed, this gets me into a lot of them special meetings. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know those meetings.
I
I don't
know.
know those meetings. No.
But like you said,
This nose throws them off. That's what.
but
That's the
like
reality.
you said, dude, for me, it's I think a little different. Like you said, you're passable, so I think that's kind of what you're saying. But for me, I'm just a white guy, and it was always
Right.
assumed that I was a friendly.
Right.
It was always assumed that I was going to be okay with somebody saying some really
Did you get the Dakota ring that they always talked about?
Oh yeah, that's probably what it was. I kept forgetting to take it off. Um,
I know there's a special handshake and all that stuff.
but it's like you really just didn't think for a second that maybe I wouldn't be okay with that. And
Right.
that blatant, I don't know. I don't even know what's called. Not disregard, but just evil, man. It just
Well,
felt evil.
the question always comes up, Ryan. Is it malicious, which then it's the evil side, or is it just ignorance? And that's the part where you understand quickly where you stand in the conversation.
Yeah.
Because again, there's teachable moments where you could say something, and I've even had that with my wife. Learning more, I've had that with my brother. Being part of the LGBT, I can't even say it anymore. LGBTQ community.
Love
there's
you,
a lot
Robbie.
of moments that are there, and it's one of those things where it's like, hey, I'm asking you in a safe space where I am ignorant. There's an acknowledgement I'm ignorant towards because it's not my life.
Yep.
So can you explain something to me? And I always say, you can't get mad at questions. You can get mad
No,
at
we
statements.
shouldn't.
You can get mad at statements, and understand that if there's enough dumbass questions out there, that yes, you get fed up, you get peeved with. But if you are literally in a place where you're with your community, like, hey, I want to ask you, like, it may come off dumb, but I need to know.
Yeah.
And my biggest thing is I've always had a childlike mind where it's like, I don't think I know everything, and I want to ask as many questions as possible. And it's don't take it as being malicious. It's I want to know.
Yeah.
And if you are literally in that camp and in whatever it is,
Yep.
I want to know. You're my window into it. You're my glimpse.
Yeah, I was about to say, and it's not even just black folks. It's here in Arizona. We have a lot of indigenous folks. We have there's a lot of culture here.
Oh yeah.
And like you said, I personally find, like, I'm not going to speak for anybody else, that when I ask those questions, saying, hey, I know I'm kind of ignorant to this, can you explain to me why this is a big deal? And 9 times out of 10 people respect that and will have no problem educating you on why their stance is what it is.
Right.
And like we said, you're either going to accept that as a moment to grow as an individual, or you're not. Yeah. And unfortunately, I think I get a little discouraged by how many people are willing to just double down.
People resist change.
Yeah.
People resist change. It's natural. But that's why progression is slow.
Yeah.
That's why we have to ease into this. This is why it's interesting. I feel like conservatives just found out that gays, lesbians, trans, queer, drag queens exist, and I'm like, okay, like where is all this coming from? This is why it feels like such a distraction.
Yeah.
This is why it feels like it's so hyperbolic. This is why it's being thrown into our face. Where you're like, what? Drag Queen Story Hour? What does that have to do with you? Not only what does that have to do with you, if you don't want to go see it, you don't go see it. That's
don't take
your
your
choice.
kids.
You know what I mean? So it's like you have this idea of like, well, wait a minute. How free are we if this is what we're doing? Because if you want to go to church and I'm like, here I am with my gun, like you're not learning that today. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, very much so.
It's a slippery slope. And it's funny because they're projecting that onto us.
Yep.
Well, you're trying to silence conservative voices. No, we're not.
Nope.
What you're saying is weak. Like you're junk. Like it's not funny. Your sense of humor doesn't land. Like I'm sorry.
No.
Like what you're trying to say is just it doesn't do it. And the funny thing about it is like conservatives want so badly to be the culture.
Mm-hmm.
They're not.
No, and it bothers them.
It does. It's really deep rooted for them.
Yep.
And one simple way to just justify it, and not even justify it, just to understand it. Christian rock. It exists. I'm sure there's a hot gem in there somewhere. It ain't popping like that though. It's not.
I can't. Yeah.
I heard Moses could rap. That shit's way better than what the fuck they're putting out now. Do you know what I mean? Jesus was getting high, and they had somebody at the table. One out,
telling you,
just really just rapping, just doing their thing. You know what
I'm saying? We didn't see that on the table.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, Jesus, kick that beat. Like, I'm sure. Whatever this shit is they're doing, that's not hot. It's not.
No.
Show me one Christian pop star that's doing what Beyonce can do. You can't.
No, not that I know. But admittedly, I don't follow that. But okay, but
you would know about it if it exists.
That's true.
That's all I'm saying.
If they were as big as Beyonce, yes.
Right.
But you kind of get a good segue into our last topic here, and that is progress being slow.
Yeah.
And sometimes at a complete standstill. The mass shootings are still going on. The school shootings are still happening. And this latest one in Nashville was particularly, I hate to use the word interesting. It was interesting to see the difference in response from the right when it wasn't a white male, with a right-wing manifesto in his trunk. Right. It was a transgender, woman who had a manifesto in her car about why she was doing it. And it was like, oh, well, now that that's out, it's not just white men. It's like, wow, you guys really grab onto that one or two instances. And
which I think I need to make a correction.
Please.
It was a woman who identified as a trans man.
Was it? Am I wrong?
It's a woman who identified as a trans man.
Okay, thank you. No, thank you for correcting me.
And the thing with that is, like, I don't want to get wrapped up in pronouns. This person was mentally ill and was under watch.
Yeah.
And all conservatives are doing by toting because again, they're throwing it in our face. They're throwing it in the ethos of like, it's a trans person and them on testosterone and look how crazy they are. They literally are trying to say anything and everything except for what's real. Guns are too easy to get.
Yep.
And we need to figure out a process. It's almost like when you were in a classroom and one kid fucked it up for everybody. Nobody's going out to recess.
The military the same way.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You would think that we would have that in our heads, like this is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah.
Because Billy over here keeps fucking around. So Billy, get in line.
Yep.
because I want my gun. You would think all of them would be like that. That's not the case at all.
Nope. They
It's
want
this more grandstanding first and foremost. But to me, it's like anybody who kills kids is a fucking animal.
100%.
Plain and simple. I don't
100%.
care who you are, how you identify. I don't care. I
Nope.
don't. I'm over this. I'm pissed.
100%.
I watched my 6-month-old have to do a school shooting. He doesn't know what the fuck that is. He just knew he had to walk in that direction.
Oh, shooter drill?
Shooter drill.
Wow.
6 months. I said, what are we doing right now? He just learned how to walk. My whole perspective has changed completely. Mind you, we are Columbine, as in that generation that witnessed the first time and had that as in we had to go to counseling. We had literally the counseling. I don't know if you remember that. The counseling of like, does anybody need to talk about this?
Yep.
Are you guys afraid here in school? As if you see something, you need to say something. Like I remember all that shit.
Yep.
And you think about it and you're like, okay, there was a 94 ban where the government actually worked together. 4 presidents got behind. It was Clinton, literally, Bush, Reagan, Carter. They got behind and talked to their people, their camps, and said, we need to do something because this is becoming an issue.
Yep.
We don't have that anymore. I don't care about party.
Nope.
We don't have that understanding anymore that we have to be above it all.
Yep.
And this is the part where I feel these politicians have loose pockets that are being filled by everybody who tells them to shut the fuck up and just do what they say.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not filling that pocket, and I'm not filling that pocket, so therefore our voices are void.
Yep.
And it's if you look at the pressure that's happening right now that's come out of this, I'm sorry that it had to be these 3 little kids and those 3 adults. I'm sorry that it had to be, but look at the turnout of people showing up and demanding this change. They're not going anywhere anymore.
Nope.
If you notice, since George Floyd, people are showing up. There's no more write an email, call. They're in your office.
Yep.
They are you can't close the door, let alone get to the door without having security. Actual state troopers mauling their way through to make sure they can get this senator into their office.
Yep.
I do feel there's a shift and change, and I will say this to you. Excuse me, I will say this to you. I had an argument 2 nights ago with a colleague of mine who's in the Army. He's in the armed forces. And look, sweet guy, beautiful kids, happy, family he's built for himself. He's done really good for himself. And always been kind of reserved, well, very reserved, very conservative since I've known him. Very fair individual. That's the best way I could describe him. Yeah. Let alone his politics. Very fair as a person. You'd give anybody a chance. But he was the type of individual who always thought he was the smartest in the room too.
Mm.
And it was that social level where you may be the smartest one, but you don't have to prove it to anybody. There's a chip on your shoulder where you need to prove it, right? I asked him a question. And the question was, because we're talking about this very debate itself. And I said to him, it's getting to that crossroads in America. And you have to ask yourself, are you going to choose the gun or are you going to choose your own kids?
Mm.
And your answer is telling, is how I worded it. He told me to fuck off. And he called me and screamed at me. And I said, well, that hit a nerve.
Yeah.
And I go, why did that hit a nerve? And he said to me, how dare you tell me that I don't love my kids and that I'm a terrible father? And I go, I didn't say one fucking thing like that. Nope. I asked you a simple question. He goes, it was a loaded question. And I go, it was an honest question.
Yep.
And it's time to have that discussion. Because to me, I want to see my son and I want to see your son outlive us.
Yep. We're not supposed to bury our kids.
Everybody's kids grow old. I don't want to have these conversations, but it's time to have that conversation. And
Yeah.
if we aren't having that conversation, is it this or is it this? Because we're at that point, and he's like, it's more complicated than that. No, it's not.
Nope.
We are making it more complicated than that. We don't need this shit.
No.
We don't. I understand that it is a complicated situation. Yes. I do understand the complications that are affiliated with it. There are 3D printing guns that
Yeah.
you can't stop somebody. I understand that. I understand that there's black market, but that gun was bought legally at one point first.
Yeah.
No criminal is buying a weapon. They become a criminal after they use the weapon. We have to change our thinking. So how do we get around these things? You want to blame mental health? Where's the funding?
Yep.
You want to blame it on a kid? Where's the daycare? The funding. You want to blame it on a broken home? Where's the funding?
Yep.
We got to change the way that we're looking at this problem.
And not only that, I love how you're talking about funding, because some of the solutions that they keep coming up with are putting armed guards in every school in America, putting steel doors in, which totally ignores fire code and exits.
I'm telling you right now, with those two examples alone, security guard shooting a kid,
Oh,
buildings burning down and everybody's trapped inside.
yeah.
Then what do we say?
Yep. And again, the price that we must pay for people to own these guns. Now, and I'm going to say...
And don't get me wrong. I'll tell you right now, I'm going to interject. I love guns.
I was just about to tell you, I own 5.
But this is the thing. I own 0, but I go to shooting ranges,
Yeah.
get my kicks, and I visit my brother down south. And right there, he has a shooting range in his backyard on this property that he owns. And we went out there and we had loads of fun.
Yep.
Loads of fun. But I don't need that shit in New York.
Mm.
There's too much shit popping off in New York for someone to have a gun. And then to see these rules by the Supreme Court rolled back, you're playing with fire. You're playing with fire.
Yep.
You really are.
I tell, I have 3 handguns and 2 like shotguns. And the 2 shotguns are actually my grandfather's. But they're locked up,
Right.
and I've had them for years. I've had one since my dad died.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't plan on coughing up my handguns. I get too many death threats. There's just too much shit. I feel comfortable having them in the house. They're locked up,
But look at your resume.
Well, that too.
You were trained.
Yeah. And I don't have an AR-15. I don't freaking own one. I don't need one. If you can't defend your home with a couple of handguns and a shotgun, then you have a fucking problem. And it isn't that you need an AR-15.
I'm very much like my grandfather who fought in World War II. I have a machete.
There you go.
Come in my house anytime you want.
It's
going to be up close and personal.
I mean, hey.
That's the reality.
But whatever somebody's comfortable with. But here's what I'm not comfortable with anymore. I'm not comfortable with the shoulder shrugs. I'm not comfortable with congressmen literally looking in a camera and saying, well, we're not going to do anything about it. You're literally watching our kids be freaking murdered in school.
Yeah.
And you're looking at the parents while taking NRA money. Like, you'll literally take the NRA check and then look in a parent's face and say, sorry, thoughts and prayers, nothing we can do.
Also those lapels that they're wearing.
Yeah, the little AR-15 lapels. Like, everybody that wore those into Congress should be just publicly dragged forever.
Well, there's a couple in there that they're still should be looked at as terrorists from January 6th, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that'll be next week.
A whole nother conversation. But
but
if you look at that same politician that you're talking about, where he said there's nothing we're going to do, you should look at the same passion, same kind of energy he had for banning drag queens. You should literally compare the footage next to each other. It's very dystopian to see how he talks about a drag queen versus children being gunned down. And even look at the governor and how he talked about it, how he couldn't even bring himself to say certain words. He tried to sneak around it. And his wife was close friends with 2 people who got gunned down. His wife was supposed to have dinner with the substitute teacher that same very night. She didn't make it.
And what do? Nothing.
I'm telling you that there feels like a change.
It's shifting. I agree.
It's almost you have to feel it in the air where people are, and maybe it's going to be state by state. Maybe that's going to start.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to have. I personally think it'd have to start there.
Michigan just released some stuff, just so you know, that's something to look into. Of course, then it comes down to the element of who in those districts are going to hold up the law, because
Yeah.
that's becoming a thing now too
Yeah.
within whatever state, because first it was red state, blue state, and then it's like, well, wait a minute, there's like a oasis of blue or oasis of red within the state, and it's like, yeah, there's no real such thing as red state or blue state. We're
Yeah.
fucking Americans, guys, come on.
Yep.
Let's stop with this.
It's brutal. I hate the two-party system. But hey, before we go off, I just wanted to, because you already touched on them, but I wanted to go back to the mental health and what some of the representatives are saying, particularly Marjorie Taylor Greene. She put this one up. It said, how much hormones like testosterone and medications for mental illness was the transgender Nashville school shooter taking? Everyone can stop blaming guns now. As you can see at the very bottom, I put the screenshot from C-SPAN of the vote for school-based mental health services. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's only one Republican that voted for it. And shocker, it wasn't Marjorie Taylor Greene. So you guys, these people want to talk about, oh, it's mental health, it's this. Then fix it. Then fucking fund it. Stop sitting there and blaming shit that you're unwilling to fix.
It's all grandstanding.
It's all grandstanding. And by the way, seeing these members of Congress set their soapbox up on the caskets of children is one of the most disgusting things I've ever witnessed in my life.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's, unless you are pissed off about them being killed and that is what you're using them for,
right? Then this is the part where we really are saying, and I'm getting to the point, and I had a really deep conversation with my wife about this, and she was right. I sat with it for a minute, and I have to say she's right. Anybody who is choosing guns over children at this point, anyone, I don't care, that's how you vote. You're voting for the gun.
Mm-hmm.
The blood's on your hands.
Yep.
No one gives a fuck about your thoughts. No one gives a fuck about your prayers. The blood's on your hands, because this is a choice.
Yep.
This is a choice. And if we need to step away from it for a moment and put it on the back burner, and then at some point within this experiment we call America, we want to vote it back in, let's go down that route. But right now we're not there. We're just not there.
It's just, like you said, it's disheartening to see where we're at and that people are unwilling to get serious about gun control. Yeah. Somebody said something on my Twitter that was crazy. They were comparing it to having a driver's license. And
everybody hates the DMV. Let's make that the system.
Not only that, but
you want a gun? Go to DMV. You got to go through all that shit to get your gun, and then come back how many years that you want it to be set at.
But they don't want any kind of barrier between them and owning a gun. That's the problem, is that you have a lot of people that are unwilling to go through simple background checks.
Right.
And it's insane. Right. It's simply insane. And I will continue to say that I don't plan on coughing up my handguns anytime soon, ever. But we need to get serious here, because it could be my kid, it could be your kid, it could be your grandmother at a grocery store.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just school shootings. We have shootings every day, and we only hear about the ones that are horrible. We only hear about the ones that are like 4 people plus. It's like, oh, only 2 people were shot? That's no big deal. Like, that's literally where we're
I
at
have a
now.
conservative friend that sends me every single time a black person shoots somebody, because that's his way of telling me that black people are the highest risk of shoot. It's all coded language. Oh, yeah. And I go, you know what you're doing though, right? You're literally sending me nothing but gang violence or whatever. I go, it's not mass shootings. I go, it's not even considered a mass shooting. Like if you want to look at what, I mean, I don't even know why we're arguing about what data is
The
considered.
kind of debt, right?
But I go, but this is what I keep telling you. This is the tailspin that they put you in, and then you get sucked into it. And this is where Democrats need to figure out messaging,
Yes.
because they fail every time on messaging.
Yep.
For what they say, for 10 words, they need to sum it up in 3.
Yeah.
That's it. Sum it up. Get to the point, cut off all the fat, and make it work. Because this is what we're doing right now is not working for anybody. It's not.
I agree. Well, I mean, it's working for the criminals and the people that, are pieces of shit. But
no, it's working for the NRA. It's working for people who are actually sitting back and just enjoying that money.
Yeah, criminals.
That's the reality. Lobbyists are getting they're getting buku money at this point.
Well, the best thing that we can do, my friend, is we can keep doing these shows, keep spreading the awareness, keep fighting these fights. We were talking about that before the show. The only way that we can do anything is to get in the arena and get in the fight. So that said, I'm just gonna give it one final shout out to our Gen Z. You guys are killing it. Like every time I see these videos, you guys showing up to the state capitals, to the schools, protesting, like you're demanding safety, and that should be a bare minimum.
Look, man, they're demanding their positioning on this planet, and I applaud them.
Hey, yes,
100%.
Yep.
They're doing way more than millennials. That's
amen.
You know what I'm saying? They're doing a lot more than our generation. But like I said, I want to be Gen Z when I grow up, and it's like it's time to get in. It's time to meet them where they're at, because they're the only ones who are thinking clearly at this moment in time.
Sure seems that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And like you said, like we talked about in the last show, our position should be as men to support women and their choice when it comes to abortion. And the best thing that I think we can do is acknowledge that these kids are fighting a battle that we didn't have to, or that we chose not to at the time. And the best thing that we can do as the millennials, the elder millennials, and Gen Xers is support them, give them the support they need, help them set up their soapbox, buy them the freaking megaphones. We need to help this community and these kids do what they're doing, because it's fucking amazing.
We got to give them space. We got to give them
that too. Like I'm just like
the space to
be there for what they need. Like not trying to step in and take their over what they're doing. It's just more of what do you need from us? Like let me help you with resources and help the cause that you're doing, because the messaging is on point. And like you said earlier, it needs to happen. Unfortunately, I'm just upset that we left them such a shit sandwich.
Well, you act like we're on our way out, man. No, it's the boomers.
No, we're not.
Way out. That's the biggest thing. Is like you and I have so much fight left.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that you have to keep in mind, is that most politicians, if you're looking at the statistics, the average age of Americans are at 38, right? Just like that is the prime. That's where we're kind of at, but yet we're being legislated by people average age of 60 to 70.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense, because there's a huge disconnect. I would love to see, Sleepy Joe. I'm sorry, I love that nickname. I love to see Sleepy Joe tell me all about ChatGPT. Like, it's not happening. You know what I mean? Like, there's a certain thing where there's a disconnect. Now, granted, yes, he has all his advisors who would advise him on whatever. But I mean, just in general, being ahead of technology, where things are and what's going on.
Yeah.
And you know what? I have to be real with you. President Biden probably knows Ukbar on planet Pluto, and he's over here having some technology we know nothing about. That's that president shit that they got access to. And he's on that. And he's on some real universal streaming sites. And he's like, man, you got to check this shit out from Pluto. And it's like, I don't know anything about that. So maybe he is leaps and bounds ahead. I don't know.
He knows about the 7G.
You know, he's like, you peasants with your 5G. Like, I'm on that 7, baby.
I'm on that 7G shit.
I'm on that 7G. But there's a thing where it's like, we are still in this dogfight. But at the same time, it's like, we gotta meet. We have to have a coalition.
We do.
Of Gen Z, millennials, and Gen X.
Yes.
That is looking at how do we move together.
Yes.
Into a brighter future, and that works for everyone. And I'm not ruling out conservatives either. They have some great ideas. They do.
But and there's good conservative people out there that consider themselves conservatives, and they're good people. Like, they're not all evil. But
They're not. They're not. It's just, and the thing is that evil switches sides. I always want to say that
yeah,
there is an element there where it's either ignorance or malicious, and up for us to really kind of figure out. But there's evil that switches sides
yeah,
because there are elements that are extreme that are not necessary.
yeah,
And the biggest thing here is that we got to figure out how it all comes together because right now, I'm sorry, I'm always comparing us to Rome.
mm-hmm.
So
No,
far,
that's
we
fair
have a little leg up
comparisons.
above them. We do.
Yeah,
But you got
and
to remember, and I know Ron DeSantis doesn't want us to learn history, but you got to remember, like, what was their downfall like? Where were they at as a society? A lot of infighting.
yep, where we're at right now.
And it's one of those things where America's only falling from the inside.
Oh yeah, we're killing ourselves. We're destroying our own experiment.
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
really are. But I think we'll end it there. I agree with you that it's going to take a massive movement, and I think a lot of us are starting to realize that now.
Right.
And that's those of us who are engaged. So you, me, and all the people that I talk with on Twitter and shit. Everybody that follows politics on a regular basis.
Yeah.
We're starting to see, okay, like this is going to take a massive movement. We're going to all have to come together. Like it can't be just one group of people fighting back. It has to be all of us.
Why do you think
And
they're attacking being woke?
exactly, because that's all of us. Anybody that has chosen to educate themselves on an issue, to be a better ally, or just know better,
Or
you
just a
are
better
woke.
person.
Yeah, just a better person. like you think I've always been this enlightened individual you see before you? Like, no. I've had a lot of people educate me along the way.
Oh,
And I'm glad you said that because it's a fucking choice.
yeah.
The person that you want to be is a choice, and growth is a choice. So either you learn to be a better person and more accepting, and that like Ian said in the beginning, we're all Americans. And that's where we have to get back to, is that we're Americans that want to protect our kids, that want to feel safe going out in public, that are very concerned about the direction of this country. And
Yeah.
there are more of us that meet those that fit into that group than I think there are of the MAGA, extremists. There's definitely still way too many of them, but I think they're way outnumbered at this point. I think there were a lot of people from January 6th on that have they may not have swung Democrat, but they've swung at least independent. They're like, I can't. Or
One
they're
would say
Republicans and they
that
don't
they
support
are
Trump.
woke. They just won't use that term because they realize what's
Ooh.
in front of them.
Ooh, and I think that's a perfect place to end it. They're woke and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
And with that said, hopefully we'll be back in a week or two. And but thank you for coming on, brother. I always appreciate the conversations. And man, hopefully next time we come on, maybe we'll have Trump in handcuffs.
Brother man,
Wouldn't that be nice?
I'm interested to see. I think the domino effect is about to happen.
Yes.
And
yes.
like I said to you, I think the floodgates are opening, but I'm holding all judgment. I'm holding everything. I'm reserving myself to see what goes down. Like I said, I'm not looking forward to Tuesday, being that I live here, but at the same time, and it's not out of fear. It's more out of like
annoyance.
I just don't want to be bothered by it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know exactly what you mean.
Like, what I mean? You're not even a state. Can you just do this in Washington, D.C.? Like, please, take this shit over there. Like, go.
I mean,
there.
I'm good. You should just take his ass to Leavenworth.
You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's time to start seeing the system work.
Yes.
How it works for everybody. But we are living through history right now. Like, that's what's wild about this. He's the very first ex-president to be indicted.
And I'm glad you said that, because we are living through history.
Yeah.
And what needs to happen now is accountability.
Yeah.
We have to ensure that this doesn't happen again. This was not You know, I mean, you just look at what the GOP and Republicans have said along the way. First, it was Antifa dressed up as Trump supporters, you know, on January 6th. And now they're the January 6th people in jail are political prisoners.
Right.
It's like, make up your fucking mind. Was it Antifa or are you political prisoners? Did you
There's
do it
no
or did you
media.
not do it?
This is the part where I don't feed into their bullshit. You know, this
Y-
is the part where I go, you'll say whatever you want to say in that moment and you forget your own lies.
Yes.
You're dealing with a liar. I'm not even
Yep.
saying they're not telling truths or it's their truth. No, you're just a fucking liar and I'm not even interested.
Yep.
Like, you can't even keep up with your own stories. And I get it. You're trying to win political points, whatever the case is. And for those who are not paying attention to you, you can maybe skate by.
Yeah.
But too many people with their devices are paying attention.
Yes, sir.
And it's only becoming more and more and more. And
Yep.
that's why they're trying to ban more and more and more.
Yep.
And that's what's so interesting about this. They want to keep you dumb.
It's going to be interesting, isn't it? Well, listen, everybody, go get your freaking popcorn and we'll talk about all this next time.
I got my popcorn ready, bro. That's
I'm telling you. Hey, be safe out there
real.
Tuesday. Don't hurt anybody being annoyed now.
I'm gonna be on
but
my
to
rooftop. That's a reality right there.
To everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you go to my social media, hit all those follow buttons, especially this YouTube channel. And I'll leave you as I always do with much love. Keep fighting.
Stay woke.